There are moments in life when silence becomes the loudest sound in the room. When the people you raised, the ones you gave everything to, look at you as if you're nothing more than an obstacle in their way. That's what it felt like the morning I found the real estate sign planted at the entrance of the ranch. My ranch. The ranch where I buried my heart alongside my husband, Thomas. Have you ever felt invisible in your own life? The wood was weathered but still proud, just like Thomas had been. The sign read "Sold" in bold red letters, and beneath it, a date. A closing date. 3 days away. I stood there in my old boots, the ones I wore every morning to feed the horses, and I felt my knees weaken. Not from age, from betrayal. I didn't need to ask who had done this. I already knew. My daughter Caroline had always been ambitious. Even as a child, she looked at things and calculated their worth, not their meaning. Their price. I used to think it was intelligence. Thomas used to say it was something else, something colder, but I defended her. I always defended her. After all, isn't that what mothers do? We see the best in our children, even when the world sees the truth. Thomas and I built that ranch with our own hands. 43 years of sweat, laughter, arguments, and love soaked into every fence post, every acre of land. We raised cattle, grew hay, and watched sunsets that made you believe in God. When he died 2 years ago, the ranch became more than property. It became the last place I could still feel him. The creak of the barn door, the smell of leather and earth, the way the wind moved through the cottonwood trees he planted the year Caroline was born. But Caroline never saw it that way. To her, the ranch was an asset, a burden, something keeping her mother tied to the past instead of moving into a nice little condo in town where she could keep an eye on me. I should have seen it coming. After Thomas passed, Caroline started visiting more often. At first, I thought grief had softened her. She'd sit with me on the porch, ask about my day, bring groceries I didn't ask for. She even offered to help with the paperwork, the bills, the legal documents I didn't fully understand. I was drowning in grief, and she threw me a rope. I grabbed it. I trusted her. That was my mistake. She had me sign papers. Just updates to the estate, Mom, making sure everything's in order. I signed them. I signed them because she was my daughter, and I wanted to believe she had my best interest at heart. I wanted to believe that the little girl who used to chase fireflies in the field still existed somewhere inside the woman in the designer suit. But she didn't. The day I saw that sign, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I walked back to the house, my hands trembling, and I sat at the kitchen table where Thomas and I used to have coffee every morning. I stared at the empty chair across from me, and I heard his voice, clear as day. "Don't let them take this from you, darling. Don't you dare. If this part made you think of someone, send this video to them." I called Caroline. She answered on the third ring, her voice bright and cheerful like she'd just won something. "Mom, I was just about to call you." "Were you?" I said. My voice was calm. Too calm. There was a pause. "Is everything okay?" I saw the sign, Caroline. Silence. Then a sigh. Not guilt. Annoyance. "Mom, I was going to tell you. I knew you'd get emotional, and I didn't want to upset you before it was final." "Final," I repeated. "You sold my home. Without asking me. Without even telling me. It's not just your home, Mom. Legally, I'm co-owner. Dad left it to both of us, remember? And honestly, you can't manage that place anymore. You're 72 years old. What if you fall? What if something happens and no one's around? I'm doing this for you, for me." Those 2 words tasted like poison. "The closing is in 3 days, she continued, her voice smooth, practiced. "I've already found you a beautiful apartment in town. 1 bedroom, easy to maintain, close to everything. You'll love it, and the money from the sale will set you up for the rest of your life. You won't have to worry about anything. I don't want an apartment, Caroline. I want my home. Mom, be reasonable." "Reasonable." My voice cracked, finally. "I raised you in that house. Your father is buried on that land. Every memory I have is in those walls, and you sold it like it was nothing. It's not nothing. It's $2.3 million, and you'll get your half. Well, after expenses and my fees for managing everything." Her fees. "Of course. Who did you sell it to?" I asked. "A development company. They're going to build a luxury subdivision. It's a great deal, Mom. You should be proud. A subdivision. They were going to tear down everything Thomas built, pave over the fields, destroy the barn, Erase him. I'll see you at the closing, I said quietly. Mom, you don't have to come. I can handle— I hung up. For 2 days I didn't sleep. I sat in that house surrounded by 50 years of memories, and I made a plan. Not out of anger, out of clarity. The kind of clarity that comes when you finally stop making excuses for people who don't deserve them. I called my lawyer. Not the family lawyer Caroline had introduced me to. My old lawyer. The one Thomas and I had used for decades. A man who knew every detail of our lives, our will, our wishes. Tell me everything, he said. And I did. What do you think you would have done differently? Turns out Caroline had been clever. But not clever enough. The papers I signed gave her power of attorney over certain financial decisions, yes. But the ranch itself was in a trust. A trust Thomas had set up years ago to protect the land from being sold or developed without my explicit notarized consent. Caroline had forged that consent. She'd hired a notary, faked my signature, and filed fraudulent documents with the county. My lawyer smiled when he told me. Not a happy smile. A knowing one. She committed fraud, Mrs. Patterson, and we can prove it. The day of the closing, I woke up before dawn. I put on my best dress, the navy blue one I wore to Thomas's funeral. I braided my hair the way he used to like it. I looked at myself in the mirror, and I saw a woman I hadn't seen in 2 years, a woman with fire in her eyes. The closing was held at a title company downtown, in a conference room with glass walls and leather chairs. Caroline was already there when I arrived, sitting next to a man in an expensive suit. The buyer, I assumed. Across from them sat the real estate agent, a young woman with too much perfume and a fake smile. Caroline's face went pale when she saw me. Mom, you came. Of course I came, I said, taking a seat. It's my ranch. The agent cleared her throat, shuffling papers. Well, let's get started, shall we? This should be quick and painless, I smiled. I wouldn't count on that. Caroline shot me a look. Mom, please, let's just get through this. Oh, we will, I said. I reached into my purse and pulled out a folder. I slid it across the table. But first, I think everyone here should see these. The agent opened the folder. Her smile disappeared. Inside were copies of the trust documents, the forged signatures, the fraudulent notarization, and a notarized statement from my lawyer detailing every illegal action Caroline had taken. The buyer stood up, his face red. What the hell is this? Fraud, I said simply. My daughter attempted to sell property she had no legal right to sell. The ranch is protected by a trust, and I never consented to this sale. Caroline's hands were shaking. Mom, this is a misunderstanding, is it? I looked at her, really looked at her, and I saw a stranger. You forged my signature, Caroline. You lied to these people. You tried to steal my home. The buyer turned to Caroline, his voice sharp. You told me this was a clean sale. That your mother was on board? She is. She's just confused. I'm not confused, I said, my voice steady. I'm awake. Maybe for the first time in 2 years. The agent was already on her phone, calling her broker. The buyer was gathering his things, threatening lawsuits. And Caroline just sat there, tears streaming down her face. Not tears of remorse. Tears of humiliation. Of getting caught. Mom, please, she whispered. We can fix this. We can work something out. I stood up, smoothing my dress. There's nothing to fix, Caroline. The sale is void. The ranch stays mine. And you— I paused, letting the weight of the moment settle. You need to leave. And don't come back unless you remember what it means to be family. Like if this story inspired you. I walked out of that office with my head high, my lawyer beside me, and I didn't look back. Behind me, I heard Caroline sobbing, the buyer shouting, the agent frantically making calls. But all I felt was peace. The ranch is still mine. Every morning, I wake up in the house Thomas and I built. I feed the horses, I watch the sun rise, and I talk to him like he's still here. Because in a way he is. In the land, in the wind, in the lessons he taught me about strength and dignity. Caroline hasn't called. Maybe she will someday. Maybe she won't. Either way, I'm okay. Because I learned something that day. Something I should have known all along. You can't pour love into people who see you as a resource. You can't sacrifice yourself for those who would sell your soul for profit. And sometimes the greatest act of love is knowing when to say no, when to stand up, when to walk away. That ranch isn't just land. It's a testament to a life well lived, a love well earned, and a woman who finally remembered her worth. They say blood is thicker than water, but I've learned that respect is thicker than blood, and on the day my daughter tried to take everything from me, I took back the one thing that mattered most: myself. Subscribe to hear more stories like this one, and share with someone who needs to hear that.